Good evening and welcome to Sun Meadow Temple. We're so happy you've joined us. My name is Alba and I use she, her pronouns. This is our first February observance and I'm so happy you are here. As always, this service is recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel. Please remember our romantic dinner date contest where you compete to plan the best date night and upcoming movie night. We will open today with our opening words, which will appear in the slide behind you. Please read along at home or listen as I read the words aloud. We welcome you into the light of the gods and light this flame in celebration. May its brightness symbolize our connection to the gods and the natural world. May you join us in this community of faith, cherishing love and with open hearts. So our theme this month, as is fitting, is companionship as salvation, and our readings are the Odyssey, Book 23 by Homer, translated by Samuel Butler, Apollo and Daphne from Ovid's Metamorphoses, translated by Henry T. Riley. And we begin with the Odyssey, Book 23. Euryclea now went upstairs, laughing to tell her mistress that her dear husband had come home. Her aged knees became young again, and her feet were nimble for joy as she went up to her mistress and bent over her head to speak to her. "Wake up, Penelope, my dear child," she exclaimed, "and see with your own eyes something that you have been wanting this long time past. Ulysses has at last indeed come home again, and has killed the suitors who were giving so much trouble in his house, eating up his estate and ill-treating his son." "My good nurse," answered Penelope, "you must be mad. The gods sometimes send some very sensible people out of their minds, and make foolish people become sensible. This is what they must have been doing to you, for you always used to be a reasonable person. Why should you thus mock me when I have trouble enough already, talking such nonsense and waking me up out of a sweet sleep that had taken possession of my eyes and closed them? I have never slept so soundly from the day my poor husband went to that city with the ill-omened name. Go back again into the women's room. If it had been anyone else who had woke me up to bring me such absurd news, I should have sent her away with a severe scolding, as is your age shall protect you." "My dear child," answered Euryclea, "I am not mocking you. It is quite true, as I tell you, that Ulysses is come home again. He was the stranger whom they all kept on treating so badly in the cloister. Telemachus knew all but the time that he was come back, but kept his father's secret, that he might have his revenge on all these wicked people." Then Penelope sprang up from her couch, threw her arms around Euryclea, and wept for joy. "But my dear nurse," she said, "explain this to me. If he has really come home, as you say, how did he manage to overcome the wicked suitors single-handed, seeing what a number of them there always were?" "I was not there," answered Euryclea, "and do not know. I only heard them groaning while they were being killed. We sat crouching and huddled up in a corner of the women's room with the doors closed, till your son came to fetch me because his father sent him. Then I found Ulysses standing over the corpses that were lying on the ground all around him, one on top of the other. You would have enjoyed it if you could have seen him standing there all bespattered with blood and filth, and looking just like a lion. But the corpses are now all piled up in the gatehouse that is in the outer court, and Ulysses has lit a great fire to purify the house with sulphur. He has sent me to call you, so come with me that you may both be happy together after all. For now at last the desire of your heart has been fulfilled. Your husband is come home to find both wife and son alive and well, and to take his revenge in his own house on the suitors who behaved so badly to him." "My dear nurse," said Penelope, "do not exult too confidently over this. You know how delighted everyone would be to see Ulysses come home. More particularly myself and the son who has been born to both of us. But what you tell me cannot really be true. It is some god who is angry with the suitors for their great wickedness, and has made an end of them. For they respected no man in the whole world, neither rich nor poor, who came near them, and they have come to a bad end in consequence of their iniquity. Ulysses is dead, far away from the Achaean land. He will never return home again." The nurse Euryclea said, "My child, what are you talking about? But you were all hard of belief and have made up your mind that your husband is never coming, although he is in the house and by his own fireside at this very moment. Besides, I can give you another proof. When I was washing him, I perceived the scar which the wild boar gave him, and I wanted to tell you about it, but in his wisdom he would not let me, and clapped his hands over my mouth. So come with me, and I will make this bargain with you. If I am deceiving you, you may have me killed by the most cruel death you can think of." "My dear nurse," said Penelope, "however wise you may be, you can hardly fathom the counsels of the gods. Nevertheless, we will go in search of my son, that I may see the corpses of the suitors and the man who has killed them." On this she came down from her upper room, and while doing so she considered whether she should keep at a distance from her husband and question him, or whether she should at once go up to him and embrace him. When, however, she had crossed the stone floor of the cloister, she sat down opposite Ulysses by the fire, against the wall at right angles to that by which she had entered, while Ulysses sat near one of the bearing posts, looking upon the ground and waiting to see what his brave wife would say to him when she saw him. For a long time she sat silent, as one lost in amazement. At one moment she looked him full in the face, but then again directly she was misled by his shabby clothes and failed to recognize him, till Telemachus began to reproach her, and said, "Mother, but you are so hard that I cannot call you by such a name. Why do you keep away from my father in this way? Why do you not sit by his side and begin talking to him and asking him questions? No other woman could bear to keep away from her husband when he had come back to her after 20 years of absence and after having gone through so much. But your heart always was as hard as stone." Penelope answered, "My son, I am so lost in astonishment that I can find no words in which either to ask questions or to answer them. I cannot even look him straight in the face. Still, if he really is Ulysses come back to his own home again, we shall get to understand one another better by and by, for there are tokens with which we two are alone acquainted, and which are hidden from all others." Ulysses smiled at this and said to Telemachus, "Let your mother put me to any proof she likes. She will make up her mind about it presently. She rejects me for the moment and believes me to be somebody else because I am covered with dirt and have such bad clothes on. Let us, however, consider what we had better do next. When one man has killed another, even though he was not one who would leave many friends to take up his quarrel, the man who has killed him must still say goodbye to his friends and fly the country. Whereas we have been killing in the stay of a whole town and all the picked youth of Ithaca, I would have you consider this matter." "Look to it yourself, father," answered Telemachus, "for they see you are the wisest counselor in the world, and that there is no other mortal man who can compare with you. We will follow you with right good will, nor shall you find us fail you in so far as our strength holds out." "I will say what I think will be best," answered Ulysses. "First wash and put your shirts on. Tell the maids also to go to their own room and dress. Phemius shall then strike up a dance tune on his lyre, so that if people outside here, or any of the neighbors, or someone going along the street happens to notice it, they may think there is a wedding in the house, and no rumors about the death of the suitors will get about in the town, before we can escape to the woods upon my own land. Once there, we will settle which of the courses heaven vouches safe us shall seem wisest." Thus he did speak, and they did even as he had said. First they washed and put their shirts on while the women got ready. Then Phemius took his lyre and set them all longing for the sweet song and stately dance. The house re-echoed with the sound of men and women dancing, and the people outside said, "I suppose the queen has been getting married at last. She ought to be ashamed of herself for not continuing to protect her husband's property until he comes home." This is what they said, but they did not know what it was that had been happening. The upper servant Eurynome washed and anointed Ulysses in his own house, and gave him a shirt and cloak, while Minerva made him look taller and stronger than before. She also made the hair grow thick on the top of his head and flow down in curls like hyacinth blossoms. She glorified him about the head and shoulders, just as skillful workman who has studied art of all kinds under Vulcan or Minerva, and his work is full of beauty, and rich as a piece of silver plate by gilding it. He came from the bath looking like one of the immortals, and sat down opposite his wife on the seat he had left. "My dear," said he, "heaven has endowed you with a heart more unyielding than woman ever yet had. No other woman could bear to keep away from her husband when he had come back to her after 20 years of absence, after having gone through so much. But come, nurse, get a bed ready for me. I will sleep alone, for this woman has a heart as hard as iron." My dear, answered Penelope, I have no wish to set myself up, nor to depreciate you, but I am not struck by your appearance, for I very well remember what kind of man you were when you set sail from Ithaca. Nevertheless, Eurycleia, take his bed outside the bedchamber that he built, bring the bed outside this room, and put bedding upon it with fleeces, good coverlets, and blankets. She said this to try him, but Ulysses was very angry, and said, Wife, I am much displeased at what you have just been saying. Who has been taking my bed from the place in which I left it? He must have found it a hard task, no matter how skilled a workman he was, unless some god came and helped him to shift it. There is no man living, however strong and in his prime, who could move it from its place, for it is a marvelous curiosity which I made with my very own hands. There was a young olive growing within the precincts of the house, in full vigor, and about as thick as a bearing post. I built my room round with strong walls of stone, and a roof made to cover them, and I made the door strong and well-fitting. Then I cut off the top boughs of the olive tree and left the stump standing. This I dressed roughly from the root upwards, and then worked with carpenter's tools, well and skillfully straightening my work by drawing a line on the wood and making it into a bed prop. I then bored a hole down the middle and made it the center post of my bed, at which I worked till I had finished, inlaying it with gold and silver. And after this I stretched a hide of crimson leather from one side to the other. So you see I know all about it, and I desire to learn whether it is still there, or whether anyone has been removing it by cutting down the olive tree at its roots. When she heard the sure proofs Ulysses now gave her, she fairly broke down. She flew weeping to his side, flung her arms about his neck, and kissed him. Do not be angry with me, Ulysses, she cried, you who are the wisest of mankind. We have suffered, both of us. Heaven has denied us the happiness of spending our youth and of growing old together. Do not then be aggrieved or take it amiss that I did not embrace you thus as soon as I saw you. I have been shuddering all the time through fear that someone might come here and deceive me with a lying story, for there are very many wicked people going about. Jove's daughter Helen would never have yielded herself to a man from a foreign country if she had known that the sons of the Achaeans would come after her and bring her back. Heaven put it in her heart to do wrong, and she gave no thought to the sin which has been the source of all our sorrows. Now, however, that you have convinced me by showing me that you know all about our bed, which no human being has ever seen but you, I, and a single maid servant, the daughter of Actor, who was given to me by my father on my marriage, and who keeps the doors of our room, hard of belief though I have been, I can mistrust no longer. Then Ulysses in his turn melted and wept as he clasped his dear and faithful wife to his bosom. As the sight of land is welcome to men who are swimming towards the shore, when Neptune has wrecked their ship with the fury of his winds and waves, a few alone reach the land, and these, covered with brine, are thankful when they find themselves on firm ground and out of danger. Even so was her husband welcome to her as she looked upon him, and she could not tear her two fair arms from around his neck. Indeed, they would have gone on indulging their sorrow till rosy-fingered morn appeared, had not Minerva determined otherwise, and held night back in the far west, while she would not suffer dawn to leave Oceanus, nor to yoke the two steeds Lampus and Phaethon that bear her onward to the break of day upon mankind. Okay, now we will move on to Apollo and Daphne from Ovid's Metamorphoses. The Delian god, proud of having lately subdued the serpent, had seen him bending the bow and drawing the string, and had said, "What hast thou to do, wanton boy, with gallant arms? Such a burden as that better befits my shoulders, I, who am able to give unerring wounds to the wild beast, wounds to the enemy, who lately slew with arrows innumerable the swelling python that covered so many acres of land with his pestilent belly. Do thou be contented to excite, I know not what flames with thy torch, and do not lay claim to praises properly my own." To him the son of Venus replies, "Let thy bow shoot all things, Phobos, my bow shall shoot thee, and as much as all animals fall short of thee, so much is thy glory less than mine." He said thus, and cleaving the air with his beating wings, with activity he stood upon the shady heights of Parnassus, and drew 2 weapons out of his arrow-bearing quiver, of different workmanship. The one repels, the other excites desire. That which causes love is of gold, and is brilliant with a sharp point. That which repels it is blunt, and contains lead 'neath the reed. This one the god fixed in the nymph, the daughter of Peneusus, but with the other he wounded the very marrow of Apollo, through his bones pierced by the arrow. Immediately the one is in love, and the other flies from the very name of a lover, rejoicing in the recesses of the woods and in the spoils of wild beasts taken in hunting, and becomes a rival of the virgin Phoebe. A fillet tied together her hair, put up without any order. Many a one courted her. She hated all wooers, not able to endure, and quite unacquainted with man. She traverses the solitary parts of the woods, and she cares not what hymen, what love, or what marriage means. Many a time did her father say, "My daughter, thou owest me a son-in-law." Many a time did her father say, "My daughter, thou owest me grandchildren." She utterly abhorring the nuptial torch, as though a crime hast her beauteous face covered with the blush of modesty, and clinging to her father's neck with caressing arms, she says, "Allow me, my dearest father, to enjoy perpetual virginity." Her father, in times bygone, granted this to Diana. He indeed complied, but that very beauty forbids thee to be what thou wishest, and the charms of thy person are impediment to thy desires. Phobos falls in love, and he covets an alliance with Daphne, now seen by him, and what he covets he hopes for, and his own oracles deceive him. And as the light stubble is burned when the ears of corn are taken off, and as hedges are set afire by the torches, which perchance a traveller has either held too near to them or has left there, now about the break of day, thus did the god burst into flame. Thus did he burn throughout his breast, and cherish a fruitless passion with his hopes. He beholds her hair hanging unadorned upon her neck, and he says, "And what would it be if it were arranged?" He sees her eyes like stars sparkling with fire. He sees her lips, which it is not merely enough to have seen. He praises both her fingers and her hands, and her arms and her shoulders naked. From beyond the middle, whatever is hidden from view, he thinks still more beauteous. Swifter than the light wind she flies, and she stops not at these words of his, as he calls her back. "O nymph, daughter of Peneuus, stay, I entreat thee. I am not an enemy of following thee. In this way the lamb flies from the wolf, thus the deer flies from the lion, thus the dove flies from the eagle with trembling wing. In this way each creature flies from its enemy. Love is the cause of my following thee. Ah, wretched me! Shouldest thou fall on thy face, or should the brambles tear thy legs, that deserve not to be injured, and should I prove the cause of pain to thee, the places are rugged, through which thou art thus hastening. Run more leisurely, I entreat thee, and restrain thy flight. I myself will follow more leisurely. And yet inquire whom thou dost please. I am not an inhabitant of the mountains. I am not a shepherd. I am not here in rude guise, watching the herds of the flocks. Thou knowest not, rash girl, thou knowest not from whom thou art flying, and therefore it is that thou dost fly. The Delphian land, Claros and Tenedos, and the Paterian palace pays service to me. Jupiter is my sire. By me what shall be, what has been, and what is disclosed. Through me songs harmonize with the strings. My own arrow indeed is unerring, yet one there is still more unerring than my own, which has made this wound in my heart before unscathed. The healing art is my discovery, and throughout the world I am honored as the bearer of help, and the properties of simples are subjected to me. Ah, wretched me, that love is not to be cured by any herbs, and that those arts which afford relief to all are of no avail for their master. The daughter of Peneus flies from him, about to say still more with timid step, and together with him she leaves his unfinished address. Then too she appeared lovely, the winds exposed her form to view, and the gusts meeting her fluttered about her garments as they came in contact, and the light breeze spread behind her caressing locks, and thus by her flight was her beauty increased. But the youthful god has not patience any longer to waste his blandishments, and love urges him on. He followed her steps with hastening pace, as when the greyhound has seen the hare in the open field, and by the speed of his legs pursues his prey, the other seeks her safety. The one is like as if just about to fasten on the other, and now, even now, hopes to catch her, and with nose outstretched piles upon the footsteps of the hare. The other is in doubt whether she is caught already, and is delivered from his very bite, and leaves behind the mouth just touching her. And so is the god, and so is the virgin, he with swift hopes, she with fear. Yet he that follows, aided by the wings of love, is the swifter, and denies her any rest, and is now just at her back as she flies, and is breathing upon her hair scattered down upon her neck. Her strength being now spent, she grows pale, and being quite faint with the fatigue of so swift a flight, looking upon the waters of Peneus, she says, "Give me, my father, thy aid, if you rivers have divine power. O earth, either yawn to swallow me, or by changing it destroy that form by which I have pleased too much, and which causes me to be injured." Hardly when she ended her prayer, when a heavy torpor seizes her limbs, and her soft breasts are covered with a thin bark. Her hair grows into green leaves, her arms into branches, her feet, the moment before so swift, adhere by sluggish roots. A leafy canopy overspreads her features. Her elegance alone remains in her. This too Phoebus admires, and placing his right hand upon the stalk, he perceives that the breast still throbs beneath the new bark, and then, embracing the branches as the limbs in his arms, he gives kisses to the wood, and yet the wood shrinks from his kisses. To her the god said, "But since thou canst not be my wife, at least thou shalt be my tree, my hair, my lyre. My quiver shall always have thee, O laurel. Thou shalt be presented to the Lycian chieftains, when the joyous voice of the shoulders shall sing the song of triumph, and the long procession shall resort to the capital. Thou the same shalt stand as a most faithful guardian at the gate-posts of Augustus before his doors, and shall protect the oak placed in the center. And as my head is ever youthful with unshorn locks, do thou too always wear the long-lasting honors of thy foliage." Paean had ended his speech. The laurel nodded assent with its new-made boughs, and seemed to shake its top just like a head. So in these stories, and in the stories for next week, I want you to think about the different forms of companionship and how they are achieved, and I want you to compare these writings to each other. And I want you to think specifically about the different verbiage used to describe these things. So in the first story, in the romance between Odysseus and Penelope, he's called Ulysses in this text, but it's the same person. The romance is what saves him and leads him back home, and to be able to return to her love, which I'm all sure you have heard my thoughts on Odysseus many times, so I will not give those here. I'm going to say, and her love also protects her from being forced to marry the suitors, whereas in the second story, I would say Daphne is completely against all of this love, and turns into a tree to avoid her, But, even in the end, he takes her and she is semi-forced to consent to being made into his instruments. She does, in fact, consent to this, but it is very much not something that she was interested in up until she is turned into a tree. And so I want you to think about what these stories say about different types of companionship. Is one considered wrong? And I especially want you to be aware of and consider Ovid's perspective, and that he is writing as a critique. And he is critiquing everything that he is talking about. And does that change the value of these stories? Is his interpretation valid? What sort of thoughts do you have about that? And I would love for you to leave them in the comments of the video or message me about them. So we'll now move into the ritual portion of the observance, and I will play the video. We leave this offering for our gods to symbolize our connection and devotion. We gift this rock to symbolize the stability of the gods in our world. We gift this water to accept the flow of our lives. We welcome life and bless our offerings with oil to share our riches. We embrace our connection to each other and the world and celebrate our revival. Alright, so... Okay, now we'll do our closing words, and as usual, you can listen as I read the words aloud or read along with them at home. As we move out into the world, let us remember our community of faith. Cherish love and open your heart as you walk through life. Hold dear the light of the gods and our connection with the natural world. Go forth in celebration and carry the light of connection within your heart.